everyone, and welcome to the writer's class. Yes, I almost fooled you. No, I'm not gonna lie. I almost fooled me. I almost fooled me and was gonna be like, welcome to the women's cave. And then I remembered, no. I have a poet in the house. So we're going with podcast, the last one that we made, the writer's class. Because I mean, I don't talk about writing, so I need other people to come here and do that. That is so sad, considering that I'm a poet and a novelist and an essayist. Oh, wait, I'm about to go down a narcissism hole, and this feels so good because I look so cute. Okay, now I think I'm done talking about me. I swear. I think no, I'm not. I just thought of 13 facts about me that I want to tell you. But this show ain't mine. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. This show does not feature me as the star, just the host. Yes. There we go. I feel like I'm doing a better writer's morning. This is a good, I might even write a chapter today. Moving on. We're here because we wrote books. And I say we, I don't mean just me. I normally have a person sitting here, or if we were closer in the studio, would be over here. But since we're not in the studio, would be sitting here. And her name is Jade. And no, so that does not mean I think I have dual personalities inside of me. Just wanted to clear that up. We wrote books, back again to that train in there. And I thought divorce was bad. And I thought being grown up was easy. If only I were me, a memoir in verse, Widow's Web, Widow's Debt, and Foreign Coffee. And by the way, y'all, I have a book to show you. See, and I thought divorce was bad. I came semi-prepared, not of my own doing. It just happened to be here. And you can find out everything you ladies are doing at www.and-I-thought-ladies.com. Jade's not here, so you know what I'm about to do? Because I feel like I'm being a little bland today. I'm going to go ahead and do it like a car salesman. www.and-I-thought-ladies.com. Oh, I love that. I think I'm keeping with it. Yeah. But you're not here to hear about me. You're here to hear about our wonderful guests. Wonderful guests, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Roderick Edwards, living here in the middle of the forest down in Florida. It's balmy 44 degrees today, at least starting out. I've written, 25 books or so, so I'm trying to catch up with you guys. You say I'm a poet. It's my first poetry book. We'll see how it goes. I'm adopted, so it's an interesting topic we can get into. I just found my birth family at age 50, so that's about 4 years ago. And that's really affected a lot of things that how I think and how I view the world in general. So we'll get into whatever you want to get into, and I'll follow along. Just don't take us over a cliff, and we'll be good.
Oh no, I actually value my own life. And
All
if
right.
I value my own life, I value this adorable face. I can't be in my casket looking ugly. Even my ashes are going to be cute.
A pink urn, or what color urn you gotta have there?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes. Oh, sir.
Diamond-studded caskets. There we go.
Oh, wow. Yep. That's going in my book, by the way.
Took a wrong turn here.
Yeah, no. We always take a wrong turn. Normally it's down the food alley or liquor or something.
All right.
But it's never like I'm starting off with let's talk about your bugs. But I see that you said, first of all, that you were adopted. How does that affect your writing?
Well, adopted people, and I think a lot of adopted people that I've talked to see it as they're observers, because we don't really participate. We don't have a connection to our heritage, our lineage. I don't care how loving your adopted parents are. You just have this disconnection where you feel like you're alone in the world. So you're watching, almost like you're watching other people live their lives and how they develop and stuff. And you're doing a lot of that and you don't realize it. So I've done a lot of that in my life and in my books as well. So
I think I'm going back to say my one smart thing. I believe one person said that like writers are like the conscience of society. So therefore, in order to be the conscience, you have to observe actions of society and then filter them through what you feel success could be and then write it down. So I feel like you're well prepared to be a writer. Of course, my feelings mean absolutely nothing. So
right. Well, what happens also is that obviously, if you're being an observer and you make statements, sometimes you'll think that's what you support or what you're against. It's an observation. I can make all kinds of statements that I do or do not support. But people, oh, you believe that? You believe? No, I don't. I'm just telling you, here's what we see. And then once they get past that part and they stop ascribing to you the things you say, I'll tell you if it's my personal opinion. I'll say, this is my personal opinion based on however I got in there. So my life experiences, my adoption, everything else. So
I'm gonna stick with the observation theme and keep rolling. This
All
feels,
right,
it almost feels professional.
perfect.
Ooh, I don't
Oh,
like it.
I forgot the tie.
Oh my God, I love you. It's so great. You're bringing the comedy today. I'm not even doing it, y'all. Notice this. Um, to continue on the professionalism path that I just recently veered off of. Um, so observations, poetry, and literature. You have these three components together. When you wrote your first poetry book, did you find that they lend it to themselves and it was easy to write the poetry, or that you had to like work a little harder for poetic verse instead of like your normal prose?
Well, I love words in general. I've always loved etymology and how words are developed and where they come from and the play on it. Yes. I love for poetry, you know, a lot of people like this rhyming. I like alliteration. I love when words alliterate. I mean, even the word alliteration sounds amazing. Just saying it rolling up and down, alliteration. So that's what most of my poetry books are about. It makes you think what the words are saying, and then you forget what the actual narrative is about because the words are just so. You did that here in the intro. I heard a lot of alliteration going on. It's like, ah, she's great. She's got it going on. So
Oh, it's one of the few things I can do. Again, I said I don't have this podcast to talk about writing because I think alliterations, metaphors, similes, and rhyme patterns are about all I do. People are like, you have all of this in your book, and I'm like, that's nice that you know it is. I don't know what it is. I write.
yeah. What I find funny sometimes when I'm looking at poetry is obviously rap music is a lot of poetry. But it seems like sometimes you get a rapper that you know they don't know the word they just used, but they're like, what word rhymes with prerogative and interrogative? And they don't know any of the words they sometimes it's that way. It's like you don't know that word. You know you don't. You're just trying to rhyme one with it. So it's hilarious.
Yeah,
So
there's
have
a
you ever
rhyme,
noticed that?
right?
They're just it's sometimes they're just searching for a word that rhymes with it. So like, come on now. And then there's some really good ones, obviously, but I mean some of them you're like, okay, you're just throwing words out there.
I now I've heard from multiple sources that many rappers read the dictionary for this purpose.
Just good.
And I'm so sorry. I love the craft. I don't think I could ever sit down and read the diction on purpose.
Oops, I have. Sorry.
You're dedicated. What did
Okay.
you learn from this?
Yes.
From reading the dictionary? What did you learn? Like,
Well, you just learn different words. Like, oh, I didn't know that word meant that. Actually, I like the thesaurus is better. Thesaurus is
I
thing.
do too.
That's better than a dictionary. Or just
I was-
thumbing through an encyclopedia. Like, oh, I didn't know about that. So
yeah, I felt like such a nerd in school because I would be like, give me a thesaurus.
yeah.
Just they're like, no, you need the dictionary. I'm like, give me
Yeah.
the thesaurus. I'll figure it out. Context clues. You told me to use context clues when I was younger.
Yeah. Well, we don't even spell words correctly anymore. So who cares whether it's right? So
I love that too.
so
You remember those days when you actually had to spell?
yeah, we don't care about that anymore. We had to write them all out and have get all these right. We don't care now. You got what I'm gonna, I'm a, IMMA. You know, we have all this stuff going on now today. So, and it doesn't sound right if you try to say it correctly. Like, oh, we got these songs like I can't get no satisfaction and things like that, the double negatives. But if you try to say them correctly, it wouldn't sound right. So
I'm sorry, I'm thinking about how you would say I can't get no satisfaction correctly.
can
It still
I
sounds kind of cool.
yeah, I cannot get any satisfaction. It wouldn't sound cool. I
Yeah,
can't
no.
get satisfaction. It just wouldn't sound right.
Yeah, no, every word I'm putting in there, the title's just way too long and you would never be able to sing it.
Right.
Okay. I feel like we've gone down the literary hole a bit. But first, can you tell us what your poetry book is?
The poetry book, actually, this is my first one I've released. It's called Iteration 39. And it's based on you know, like love stories and stuff. This isn't a love story. This is a story about souls reconnecting. So it starts out with how different souls have inhabited creatures and then move on. It's not reincarnation, but the whole time when you're reading it, it's actually a long form poetry. So the book's like over 100 on some pages long, but it's full of alliteration, rhyming, all kinds of things that you see in there. But it's actually also a story. So before you know it, you're like, oh, it has a narrative, but you're confused. I don't even know how to describe it. It's interesting, and that comes from the
So
adoption.
you kind of went ahead and stuck with your sci-fi theme?
It's not so much sci-fi. So it's based on so I told you I was adopted, and at age 50, I found my birth family. My biological mother was gone, and my biological father was deceased, but I found some half siblings. And then they told me about a full-fledged sibling that I had, and I actually had to hire a private investigator to find her. So there's a lot of that kind of woven in there, how adoptions are finding each other. It just seems weird because even though we're raised completely different, we have a lot of the same thoughts still. We do the same things, our same behaviors. And I kind of woven that into the actual iteration 39, how souls are eternal. You know, my soul and her soul, and maybe all of our souls are just giant, just little drops from a giant ocean, if you want to call it that, and we return to that ocean. And so there's a lot of that stuff going on in the actual poem.
Oh, this is deep.
It's deep stuff.
Deeper than I wanted to go today. It's like 10 in the morning.
It's too deep.
Deep,
Okay,
deep.
let's just shut down. We'll come back about 12. Everybody rejoin
Yeah.
us.
12:30. I'll be ready to go because
All
I'm
right.
to coffee, so it takes a while to
Here we
wake
go.
up.
Or tea, that little English, little European tea we talked about earlier.
Exactly. But you do also write sci-fi.
I write sci-fis. I have a time travel book, which again, it plays on some of the adoption. In this case, I put my adopted sister in there again, but she's a Viking from the past, and I have to go find her because in the future, or present, she commits suicide. And so I try to go back in the past to convince her not to do that. So it's a little strange, but yeah, it's a little sci-fi in there.
I love this. I like this idea a lot. And then lastly, let's hit on one more of your literary thing, the other white people, Vikings and Russians.
You've been doing some research. I was like, whew, I'll see what she does. Because I always get afraid when I go on these podcasts because I write a large group of genre. And so somebody can get offended by one over another. So the other white people is about how there's a group of white people that had nothing to do with the slavery or anything. That there's the Russians and the Vikings had nothing to do with any of that. But yet we don't even talk about them. They weren't the English, they're the Spanish, they weren't the Portuguese. And so I traced their history in general and what they did and how they infected the world. So
Oh.
that's what it's about.
So I have something to say about that, but I'm like, wait, no, this is not the woman's cave. It does not belong in this interview.
You could. Nothing's off the table.
I've joked. But I'm not going there. I'm going to go on down to Tent Mates, where you did historical.
Yeah, there's 3 books there. I'm trying to do series because that's the way to go, I think, is a series. So this is a 3-book series. And my friend is an auctioneer or works in auctions, and he found these documents and these pictures from this guy who appears to have been in the military and also in NASA. Come to find out, it's the guy who actually developed our first satellite program for the U.S. From the United States. And we pieced all this together because he didn't have any living relatives except for a 98-year-old ex or wife who I contacted her and she gave me some information, but she was a little bit out of it at that point. He has no kids. So I pieced together all this history of him and of the World War II history. And it's a great book. I hope it gets turned into a movie because it's like he's like the Elon Musk of his time. So
Oh, nice. Wow.
So I've got, like I said, I got lots of stuff.
You do. I was about to say, you just write everywhere. How are you so prolific? What do you do when you get writer's block?
Well, interesting enough, you hear a lot of writers will say, well, I'm going to sit down today. I'm going to write 3,000 words. I can't do that because to me, it's too artificial. I'm not saying that they don't do good stuff, because they put out a lot of good stuff, but that's not me. I have to go out here. I'm in the forest. I have chickens and ducks and stuff. And I go out there and I tend to them. I feed them. And while I'm out there, I'm thinking about stuff. Something maybe you're going to say today that I'm going to think about. And so I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do that. And it will launch an idea. And then I come back in, write until I'm done, and then stop and then get back to it. That's how it works.
Oh no, I understand that. Like either I'm writing or I'm not.
Right. I'm not going to force it because I want every word that you read on my page to mean something to you as the reader. So
exactly. And then you have to admit, like, I remember one time someone said that like when a writer is in their space, it just goes. Every word's hitting, the vocabulary is there, the ideas. And I feel like it's just better to wait for that. I mean,
right. Make it organic, not this forced.
Exactly. I mean, you don't be like, oh, I wonder if I have to prime the river today.
Right.
Sit down and prime the river until it flows.
Yeah. Drink a few things. Here we go. Go back and look at it when you're sober again. Oh, that's not
exactly. Oh my. Okay, so you say this, right? But everyone was like, how did you guys write books? And I was like, we used to go to a bar, sit down, people watch, listen, get in conversations the entire time we were drinking, and then we would just go upstairs and write.
Yeah, that's how you do it. People don't realize you're the ones, the people around these, you're the ones that give you ideas. These ideas aren't always necessarily appear. If they're coming out of your head, but they're entering my head, and then I refilter them and put them out there. So thank you for that.
Exactly. What can we expect next from you? I mean, you are everywhere in the genres.
Well, I got
What's
20,
next?
25 of
Romance?
them so far. I don't know about romance. I don't think you want romance from this guy. But so I've written 25 books. My next one will be probably about how to get into the publishing. And there's so many people who think they're going to publish a book and be an instant star. Well, I've been doing it for what, 4 or 5 years. I'm not an instant star, and I have 25 of them. So I want to let people know, hey, it's okay. You can write a book, you can put it out there, you can give it to your friends and your family and be proud of it. You don't have to become a multimillionaire. It may not happen. It probably won't happen, but it's okay. And that's the kind of book I want to write to let them know that. And then I have a few more. I have one called one about the adoption. I want to write about that some more. I've got a couple of those, but I want to write specifically what goes on. And then a more cultural, I want to write about how it seems like you won't get too far in this. I think you're trying to wrap this up, but all the politics that are going on in the world today is, right against left, or Republican against Democrat, or liberal against conservative. Really, if you boil it down to it, it's collectivist against individualist. People who just want to be left alone, do their thing, and not be told what to do by any side. You get the left that says you got to do it this way. You got the right that says you got to do it this way. And there's us in between. It's like, just leave us alone, both of you. We just want to live our lives. And so I want to write about that, how that works.
Interesting.
Mhm.
And you're right. We don't tend to go there because a lady never speaks on these things.
No.
Speak on red ribbons and earrings, don't you?
Red ribbons. Come on now, don't typecast yourself.
Oh my goodness. I was about to say that's why I was like, I'm joking. Definitely we speak on much more than that.
You'll get all those feminists getting upset with you.
Yeah, those were not you said you write series, and I remember talking to one publisher, and she only publishes authors who plan on writing series, and the more series the better. Do you find that this helps your business a lot more on the business side of writing, the
Yeah,
side that no one wants to talk about?
Yeah, think about it. I mean, I'm not a very good marketer because I'm not a big, toot my own horn stuff type of guy. I probably need an agent to do that for me. But think about how we view content. For example, we consume content. We all binge watch shows, and so it's no different in the content of writing. And to me, writing is actually kind of a lost art, reading and writing in general. There's only certain niches of people that even read anymore. And there's certain niches of readers. Like I don't write to the market, what they call, which would be like what you said, romance novels or erotica, stuff like that. I don't see myself ever doing that. I doubt it. But series at least build on themselves. So if you read one, you're like, well, where's the rest of it? I have a couple of my purposely do cliffhangers. So I was like hoping it will, but also sometimes that pisses people off. They're like, I only want to read this one book, but now you're making me read the second one. So I've had some of that too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. As a reader, I absolutely hate a cliffhanger. I mean, this is why this is why when I watch TV, I make sure the entire series is done.
Right. Oh,
So
yeah,
then
that's
I
annoying.
know it ends.
Or especially if they cancel it right in the middle, like, oh, what in the world? I wasted all of this time.
Exactly. Oh my God, they did that to one of my shows, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I'm always 2 or 3 years behind everybody else. Oh, did you see such and such? No, not until it gets all the way to the end, because I'm not going to waste all that time.
I think this was like, just a phenomenon show that everyone was watching, that I was like, all right, I'm staying up to date on what's going on. Because I mean, honestly, that show was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
I think we all know what show I'm talking about because it was the phenomenon.
The throne of, what is it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everyone, like, when you say the phenomenon, they all know that that's what you mean. They don't.
And I've never seen one episode of that.
Oh my God.
I've never seen one. Midgets having sex is kind of a little strange for me. That's what it looked like for me. It's like just midgets having sex all the time. Is that what it's about? I'm sure that's not what it's about. That's how it's projected to me. That's how it came across to me. Because that must be all the ones I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, okay, there's always this guy having sex with all these women and he's a midget. So be it. It was just weird.
It's interesting to learn just in general, like even if you don't watch the entire shows, I thought it was interesting just to like read the recaps of what happened.
Right.
For the purpose of story arc.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure you do the same thing. You read something and you go, I love how they put this together. And then you go back and you break down how they put this together.
Right.
And then you're like, maybe I can use that. But then when you read another book, and then you recognize that like these two pieces would work together in my book if I did this with my character sheet. So like just for the purpose of that, and I was like, I stayed up, even
Right.
if it's just like reading the recap, because you gotta admit, he did a great job with the story.
Yeah. It obviously does. That's the key is that you got people to watch it. But the
Yeah.
more you probably notice, as more you become a writer, the more shows and things you watch, like, that plot's untenable. And I hate that because I just want to enjoy the show. It's like turn off the writer in me and just watch the show. Who cares if it's logical or not logical or makes sense? Just watch it. So
Wait until you become a screenwriter. Are you delving into screenwriting since you said you wanted to make Tent Mates into a movie?
I actually wrote a small monologue that's 9 minutes long. It's actually turned into a movie and actually hired an actor from England. It's just a one-man show. So I've done a little bit of that already, but yeah, that maybe.
Did you like it? What was the differences between writing your poetry, the prose, the historical, and screenwriting?
Well, in this case, I feel like the main thing I had to let go more. I had to let the artist take control of it. And he was actually surprised. I was like, okay, you go ahead, you take control of it, interpret it the way you want. I mean, if you write anything, if you're writing a dance or a music routine, a lot of times somebody will take that and reinterpret it. And you have to, as an artist, you have to say, okay, I'll let them do it. And sometimes they do it way better. Oh, wow, I would never known that. I would never done it that way, but you did a marvelous job. So
Exactly. No, I definitely understand. Definitely understand. I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. Can you tell everybody where they can find out more information about you? And more importantly, where can you buy those books?
you can find out more about me at RoderickE.com or just Google me, Amazon, Roderick Edwards, and you'll find me everywhere. So there you go. Just don't blame me for anything you find that's not nice. No, I'm just kidding.
Ooh, those comments at the bottom will be so fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank everyone for being here with us today. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for me over here. I was about to say we, but then I was like, wait. I'm not doing the whole bit again. So just me. I'm well known on one of the And I Thought Ladies. So you can find out everything that your ladies are doing on www.andithoughladies.com. And while you're there, go down to the bottom of the page, no longer the middle of the page, but the bottom of the page. And you can see the charities that we proudly support. And we hope that you give a little time and love, maybe even a little money to those too. We thank you in advance for that. And remember that wisdom is all around you if you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona and the Missing Jade. Oh yeah, thanks for listening.